Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. I want to start us off this year talking about our core values. In Men's Alliance, we have 6 values: honor, encouragement, trust, feedback, humility, perseverance. And you can find these in our leadership guide, and they're expounded on a little bit, explaining kind of what we mean by those words. Had somebody in MA tell me, I'll never learn those because they're just words. And I get that. I've been a part of organizations before that just had lists of words to memorize, to have something down on paper. And that is not what this is. That is not what we're about. Each one of these words is very important. We unpack them and we live them. And it's the values that set the culture. And the culture is why you love MA. All right. For all of you tribesmen that love Men's Alliance, the reason you love it is because of our values, because that's what our DNA is made of. So the one I want to talk about today, let's start this new year off with trust. This one is like a whole way to look at the world. And it's a game changer. When you start trusting and looking at the world a different way, it changes you on the inside. It changes your feelings, your emotions about people. So this is incredibly important. That's why I'm talking about trust today. When we talk about trust in Men's Alliance, here's what we mean. Straight out of the leadership guide. Trust: believe the best about your tribesmen. Give them the benefit of the doubt. That's it. Just 2 simple sentences. Believe the best about your brothers. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Guys, this is how relationships get torn up, is when people don't trust, when they don't believe the best, when they don't give people the benefit of the doubt. Think about this. Let's just take a super simple example. You send somebody a text and they don't reply for 3 days. Super simple scenario, happens to us all. Well, in that moment, you are going to tell yourself a story. Whether you realize that this is what you're doing or not, it is what you're doing. You're going to tell yourself a story. You're going to tell yourself the story of why this person isn't responding. So we all choose which story to tell ourselves. Some people choose to tell themselves negative stories. They choose to tell themselves stories like, this person doesn't like me. This person's blowing me off. Why is this guy being a jerk? Why is he ignoring me? What did I do? What's happened? Right? Like all these negative stories that we can start to tell ourselves. And if that's the path we go down, it's going to harm that relationship. Okay. I'm going to give you guys an example straight out of my life. I had a guy one time, this was several years ago. I got a text from a guy that said, hey, thanks a lot for not replying to my text. I was in a place where I really needed you, and I reached out to you and texted you, and you never replied to me, and you really let me down. You disappointed me. Maybe I'm not good enough to be one of your friends. Maybe you don't want to hang out with me. Maybe you should have just been honest and said that from the beginning. I mean, this guy was really telling himself some stories, really negative, really angry at me. And I had no idea that I had missed a text from this guy. But sure enough, right above it was a text from him, like a couple weeks earlier, he texted me. I never replied because I didn't see it. This is just a great example of what we're talking about here. Well, I replied to him and I said, hey man, I did not see your text. I did not mean to ignore you. None of that stuff you said is accurate. I would have never ignored you intentionally. I apologize for not responding to you. I get a lot of text. I accidentally missed this one. And truth be told, I was in the hospital with my daughter during those 2 weeks. And so I had a lot going on my plate. And he replied, "Thanks for the guilt trip about being in the hospital." And I was like, I didn't say anything back ever. But I was thinking, isn't what he was trying to do was put me on a guilt trip? But then he found out that I was in a hospital with my daughter, and he didn't like to hear that because it made him feel guilty. But I also told him this. I said, "Listen, man, why didn't you just text me and say, hey, have you seen my text from the other day?" Why not just do that intermediate step instead of like waiting 2 weeks and then just like ripping into me? Why not just prompt me, "Hey, texted you the other day, haven't heard anything back." Just, I'm a human, man. Give me a reminder. This is an example of not trusting, not believing the best. I want to be a part of a tribe. I want my tribesmen, I want my brothers to believe the best in me, to choose to tell themselves a better story. That's what this really comes down to. I want, if I fail, if I disappoint one of my brothers, I hope that they're telling themselves a story of, "Hey, you know what? Goose must be really busy. I wonder if he needs any help. I wonder if he needs me to check in on him because it's not like him to not reply. I'll go see how he's doing. I wonder if he's been sick. I wonder if he's got a family member going through something." Or we can choose to tell ourselves this story. I'll tell you one of the most powerful things you can ever tell yourself. This is a game changer of a story. Whenever someone hurts you, disappoints you, lets you down, harms you, anything, if you tell yourself this story, if you say to yourself, "They are doing the very best that they can do." Ooh, that is a powerful thing to believe about somebody. This even works in road rage. You tell yourself that story about the driver in front of you. Man, they are probably doing the very best that they can in their circumstances. When we start to look at the world this way, it changes how we feel inside. We're not carrying around frustration, anxiety, anger, rage, hurt. We're letting all that go because we're choosing consciously to believe the best about everyone. Hey, this guy's doing the best he can. Hey, this guy didn't come through for me. He must be doing the best he can. Man, this guy's a terrible driver in front of me. He's probably doing the very best that he can in his circumstances that he's going through. This lady over here that I work with, man, she doesn't have it all together. She's doing the best that she can. My wife really has disappointed me today. She didn't come through. She's doing the best that she can. My kids, their grades aren't that great. You know what? Maybe they're doing the very best that they can, right? When we tell ourselves this, it changes everything. This idea of believing the best comes straight out of Paul, the Apostle Paul, in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. This is often called the love chapter, and it's read at a lot of weddings. You'll hear it read at weddings, usually in the King James Version. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things. I want to read it to you from the Message, which I love the way the Message paraphrases this. It says, "So no matter what I say, what I believe, and what I do, I'm bankrupt without love. Love never gives up, never cares more for others than for self. It doesn't want what it doesn't have. Love doesn't strut, doesn't have a swelled head, doesn't force itself on others. isn't always me first, doesn't fly off the handle, doesn't keep score of the sins of others, doesn't revel when others grovel. Man, that's a good one. Takes pleasure in the flowering of truth. Love puts up with anything, trusts God always, always looks for the best, never looks back, but keeps going to the end. Love never dies. When we talk about trusting someone, it says trust God always, always look for the best. This is what the King James means when it says believes all things, bears all things, hopes all things. It always looks for the best in everybody and always tells itself this person is doing their best. They're not trying to intentionally frustrate me. I'm just getting frustrated, but they're not doing it on purpose. When we tell ourselves this about family and friends, our world changes. That's why trust is such an important one of our core values. Guys, when your tribesmen let you down, when your family lets you down, trust that they're doing the best they can. Believe the best in them. Offer to help them. Reach out. We will be disappointed by others in life because they're human. Everyone in this world will disappoint us. Your wife, your friends, your kids, everyone will disappoint you. And guess what? You're going to disappoint them too. It goes both ways because you're human and you're going to need them to believe the best about you when that happens. That's why we trust each other in MA.